U.S. Senate in South Carolina, where President Trump has also backed current Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette in the primary race for governor. In Nevada, polling shows Republican Governor Joe Lombardo expected to ward off primary challengers as Democrats also choose between several candidates to score the party's nomination. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The ceasefire is holding in Iran as the region braces for what comes next. Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv and explains what President Trump told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after the strikes.
The president indicated that negotiations toward a deal are ongoing. He also discussed his call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after the exchange of fire over the weekend.
We had a very good conversation, and he was hit, and he hit back, and I can't blame him for that.
After President Trump called on Israel and Iran to stop shooting, both sides agreed. Since then, Israel has continued to operate against Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon, launching new strikes overnight and issuing fresh evacuation orders. With questions about if the ceasefire could be broken again, international attention remains on the Strait of Hormuz, where the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports is expected to continue.
Southern Baptists are gathering in Orlando for their annual meeting, which starts today. On the agenda, anti-Semitism, women pastors, and finishing well. Steve Jordahl has a preview.
Southern Baptists are concerned with the rise of anti-Semitism we're seeing on college campuses and across the country. Dr. Richard Land of Southern Evangelical Seminary says the resolution on anti-Semitism recognizes that prejudice has been growing since the October 7th, 2023 terror attacks.
Well, unfortunately and grotesquely, anti-Semitism is growing. It's growing exponentially in the United States.
The resolution calls for Southern Baptists to stand with the Jewish people and combat anti-Semitism wherever they find it.
It is evil. It is birthed in the pits of hell. It's satanic, and it needs to be addressed every time it rears its ugly head.
Another resolution calls on SBC churches to only hire men to fill the office and function of pastor. Land says there's a resolution that recognizes the historical Baptist contribution to religious liberty as the country celebrates its 250th birthday.
Religious freedom, soul freedom, the freedom to believe what you want to believe, is the Baptist gift to the Reformation, and it's the Baptist gift to America.
There are resolutions appreciating bivocational pastors, on the importance of the physically gathered church in a digital age, and one on the importance of finishing well in life and ministry. Land says the Southern Baptist Conference is rebounding well from its sex abuse scandal.
We've been through a little bit of a rough patch. Attendance is up. Baptisms are up.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
A U.S. Army helicopter has crashed near the Strait of Hormuz, but the two crew members reportedly were not injured. The New York Times first reported that the Army Apache attack helicopter went down near the strait in unclear circumstances. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
The mission of AFA is to inform, equip, and activate individuals and families to strengthen the moral foundations of American culture and to give aid to the church here and abroad in its task in fulfilling the Great Commission. The vision of American Family Association is to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training in the interest of cultural transformation.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association as we seek to stop the erosion of godly values.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues here on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Issues, the name of this here show. And it's Tuesday, June the 9th, 2026. We hope you're having a nice day. And we have assembled here in the studio quite the panel.
It's the original team.
Is this the A team?
This is it.
Well,
sometimes we have to piece it together, but not today.
Right.
This is it.
As I say, we've got 4 people here. If 25% of us have some brain power, you're looking at us bringing 100% to the table.
All right, I don't
today.
know if that made any sense. Try that again. 25%
okay,
of us.
I think that was an insult, but I'm not sure
because I would have insulted myself. right, in that equation.
You
Should have
want to
been
insult yourself, you go
right ahead. All right, Ed Battagliano, good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
Wesley Wildmon.
Good morning.
Fred Jackson.
Good morning to you, Tim.
And on the drums, Brent Creeley, our producer.
On the drums, give it up.
From Tupelo, Mississippi, on the drums,
Brent Freely.
Brent Freely, like Ace Freely.
Yeah, like Ace Freely.
Yeah,
that was a good. See,
yeah, I caught
good
that.
Kiss reference.
I caught that. All right, you're listening to today's issues. By the way, welcome back from vacation.
Yes, we're on a vacation with my wife and I, with our grown kids and our grandkids.
Whole fam.
The whole family. We went to the beach, and I'm going to tell you how God looks after you. Okay, now I love the beach, but I love it when my wife and I, like in October, God willing, my wife and I'll go down to the beach, just us.
Right.
But with the grandkids, I was looking at being in the sand all day. I like going walking on the beach,
right? Walking
in about ankle deep water,
right?
Picking up shells,
right?
But hanging out in the sand with a bunch of little kids running,
right?
So they had 2 red flags.
Get off my beach. Is that your attitude?
No, it's just I don't like just hanging around the sand.
Okay, takes one grain of sand in that sandwich and it just ruins it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Just one grain.
So they had double red flags, which means riptides.
Oh yeah.
So my son and daughter-in-law are very, careful.
Right.
So we were at the pool the whole time we were there.
Oh,
had a very nice pool and no sand. We got to hear the beach at night, and spent. We were at the pool 3 times a day.
So the double red flags are the riptides.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
I've seen the red flag. If it's double, it's
double.
Probably pretty
double
serious.
basically means don't go in the water more than knee deep, maybe. I don't know.
Well, we stayed. I didn't see anyone going knee deep.
Right.
I mean, it's
they'll
just that
take
bad.
you out. They'll take you out to.
So we got to be at the beach and have fun and sit in the pool.
I got you.
It was awesome.
All right. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
A lot to talk about today on the program, which is a good thing because it's a talk show. And so, if we don't have anything to talk about, might as well play elevator music here on the show. Fred, what's leading the news today? Oh yes, we have a guest. I'm sorry, my apologies. Christina McInnes is from Alabama. She is running for the agricultural commissioner position, which is a statewide race and obviously a statewide office. And Christina is on the phone with us. Good morning, Christina. This is Tim.
Good morning, y'all. How are y'all doing this morning?
Well, sorry to keep you waiting there.
We lost track.
Do we just get a y'all? So we know
we did get a y'all.
Okay, good.
She's from Alabama, remember?
She's fitting in just fine.
That's right.
Fitting in.
Wesley's kind of a Mississippi he's kind of uppity, Christina. You'll have to. I'm just kidding.
Get compared, yeah.
So you're from the coastal area, aren't you, Christina?
I am. I'm from Baldwin County, Alabama, and my family has been farming here in Alabama for 120 years.
Wow.
And I'm a fifth-generation farmer. So kind of I get the best of all worlds. I'm close to the Gulf Coast or Gulf of Americas. And you go in a little bit, and you're on God's country on the farmland.
Amen.
Well, we were down in Fort Morgan. That's for the vacation.
Did you pass my signs on the Beach Express? I have these shipping containers with my name. Yes,
farm. And I saw there's a Baldwin Beach Express. We were on that for a while, kind of on the way home.
So the Buc-ee's, where Buc-ee's is?
Oh, we went to Buc-ee's. And
Christina, it's been nice to have you. Ed's about to go off on a 10-minute Buc-ee.
Christina,
is that your first?
Just one
metallic cowhide rug.
Just one statement. Okay.
Was this your first time?
No.
Okay.
But this was nuts. This is our second time my wife and I have been.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say I don't get it. That place was wall to wall. Listen, it's good for America. It's good for America. Some good jobs and stuff.
Right.
But it was insane. And you know what? That's all I'm going to say about that. We've got Christina on there. I'll complain later.
I've never seen so many gas pumps in all my life.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And the commissioner of ag in Alabama, the weights and measures, that's what I'll be over. So that little tag on every single one of those, I think there's 100 of them. Hopefully next year they're going to have my sticker on them.
Oh, sounds good to me.
You just don't want the Biden sticker. I did that on the gas prices. All right, Christina, you are running for Alabama Agriculture Commissioner, and
Yes.
why are you doing this?
I can tell you this. We are living in the golden age right now, and you're watching so many people leave farming. It's really hard. And that's a national security issue for us. And I am leaning into what has built me. Agriculture has built me. I have lived the American dream with agriculture. I came from literally the back of a tractor in Alberta, Alabama, watched my parents go from homeless when their single-wide trailer was destroyed from Hurricane Frederick to now I work in every state nationwide. And between my husband and I and our companies, we employ hundreds of people. And so I can say that agriculture has built me. It's been a success story. But now, as important as it is, as we're watching China come in, own 1 out of 4 hogs, purchase 400,000 of our acres, as we're watching, the global struggles that are occurring that affect farmers, you're not having this next generation going into it. They can't see the path to success. They can't see the profitability. And I want to bring life back to that. I'm the next generation. I have lived a success story with ag, and I want to pour my public servant heart back into making this great in Alabama. It's our number one industry in Alabama. It's a $77.3 billion, with a B, billion economic, and that's an economic impact, but the workforce is 1 out of 10 jobs. So we all know this as you're looking at a business and you're looking at financial statements. Protect your golden goose. Agriculture is our golden goose. We need to sit at the table and we need to eat. We need to feed our country. But in doing so, if we eat from a foreign hand, they're going to control us without ever lifting a bullet. So this is the time to step up, lean into this golden age, and go all in on ag. And I'm there to serve, and I'm looking forward to the leadership.
Christina, one of the questions I have is I pastored for many years and have had it in a small church in the county in which I live, and have had a couple of families. And one was owned a dairy farm, and another did some farming. One of the things that I heard was that this was especially from the dairy farmer, that the amount of regulation, now you can't control a lot of this, it comes from Washington, D.C., but the amount of regulation literally drove him out of business. And it seems like what's happening, this is not my bailiwick, so that's why I'm asking you, is that these small farmers, family farms, they can't hold up under the scrutiny of the FDA or whatever branch of the government is overseeing them, and so they sell to big conglomerates or sometimes to China, and we are losing that generational knowledge that produces the stuff we all enjoy buying at the farmers market.
You're correct. The burden has become it's breaking our small farmers. So, for instance, we will compete with other countries that have a longer growing season and do not have the same government regulations. So their workforce is a lot cheaper. They can grow longer. And so we're trying to be competitive. And so I'm excited to see how Trump and Secretary Brooke Rollins, the USDA Ag Secretary, is stepping up to protect farmers, because so much has just been, you see how it is. When we used to go to Walmart and it opened in Foley, there was a American flag and God Bless America, and today you walk in and it's 90% sourced from China. And we're doing the same with our food because we've made it so difficult to do it here that we were just buying it from somewhere else and importing it. Let me use an example. We're number 2 in the nation in poultry. So we have a lot of poultry farmers and poultry houses. And every year, not only the government, but their vendors will say, well, we need you to do this upgrade or this upgrade or this upgrade. And by the time they go and put $1 million in upgrades, it puts them 20 to 30 years back in debt again. And they never get to that break even or the black, on their financials. So you're right. It's so intentional that we really look at how can we lower those government regulation barriers. And then also I challenge somebody, they really want to do something today, like today. How can I do this today? Well, you just visited the Gulf Coast. What I would have challenged you to do is say, which is I have a 5-point plan. I'm running on a 5-point plan. I would have said, I need you to stop at the Coastal Farmers and Fishermen's Market in Foley, Alabama. We're number 2 in the nation for farmers market. You go there, you get Alabama grown beef in Lillian. You get arugula, salad, you get honey. You basically have all of your groceries buying it direct from my Baldwin County farmers. And that dollar that you're spending, 60 cents is going to stay in that community. And those T-ball teams that need sponsorships and other things, you're helping support that B2B model. And someone said, what is that? Well, the business or B2C model, B2C model, which is what's going to help these small farmers stay alive. And why that's so important, because Alabama, let's talk about how farmers can capitalize on that. As they're coming in, we can sell directly to the tourists. There's 29.5 million tourists that come into our state every year. And as they're coming down the interstate or coming in through an artery, they're shooting to the beach as fast as possible. But what they should be doing is using our Sweet Green Alabama brand as an agritourism experience. And stop off with your grandkids. Go blueberry picking in Bruton. Go to the Coleman Strawberry Festival. Go, if it's fall, go to the Tate Pumpkin Patch. Again, that economic opportunity. Because right now, the Gulf Coast, those communities, they take the tourism dollars and they smile, but we need to make those dollars a little bit more sticky, passing Chilton County peaches and so forth, and making that experience, because that's good for families when they're coming in our state. Yeah. And you're eating real food. That farmer went out and did that and is selling it directly to our families here in our nation.
I think you should go blueberry picking with your grandchildren, Ed. Ed, I think you should do that. Well, listen, one other question I wanted to ask you. We're talking to Christina McGinnis, who's running for Agriculture Commissioner of the state of Alabama. You going on all across America, what these call the data centers, that's what we hear them called. Mm-hmm. Most of us don't really, we have some sort of general idea, but we don't really know what they are and what they do and what the purpose. And everybody wants to see technological advances that they're helpful to everyone, but still there's a concern about these data centers environmentally and otherwise. What is your how are you tracking this issue?
Great question. So I actually just released, I think it was on Friday, where I'm going to do an audit. So the reason this is so important is I actually was in Stockton last night, and there was 100+ people in a very small community. They have 4,500 acres. So I'm going to tie it to solar, to large industrial solar, because they tie to the data centers. It's like a whole movement that's going on in the United States everywhere, but they're targeting Alabama specifically because we have a lot of water. They're tying next to energy, and it's affecting very, very small towns like Stockton. So what I've pledged is I'm going to be working with multiple people, multiple different agencies, and what we're going to do, or I'm going to lead, specifically, I want to lead how is this impacting our farmland, and doing an audit to say, here's where we've gone in the past, because you have to say this is grandfathered in because that's happened. This is what's gone in the past. Here's where we are currently. But what can we be doing to shape a better tomorrow with these decisions? So, for instance, I have people saying, okay, well, this is how they handle their water. There's a lot of energy and water that goes into a data center. So I see other states where they're not doing sort of water, requests on theirs. So I think what we need to do is learn from other mistakes, make sure that we're doing the best we can and protecting our farmlands, and don't go put a bunch of things that can be cultivated for food, put it in areas or, that will have less impact. And then also monitor that growth of what's occurring, which again is going back to we need to audit and take a look at it. There is an outcry right now from constituents in Alabama and the nation asking for answers. Just give us answers. Don't necessarily just go to social media and read everything you believe. Give us facts. And, I know we can all, smile when we say this. Erin Brockovich became famous over, what she did with the water. Well, now she's doing it with data centers. So, what are the dangers there? Why, what is the investigation? Let's look at answers and facts. And again, shape a better and smarter future, because If we don't get in front of this now, we will be fixing problems later.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, Christina McInnes has been our guest. She's running for Alabama Agriculture Commissioner. What is your website?
It's McInnes for Alabama, but also on Facebook. So go find me on Facebook, Christina Warner McInnes for Alabama Agriculture. And if you're an Alabama voter, I ask for your vote next Tuesday, June 16th. We're going to have one of the lowest voter turnouts in the nation, or in the state. And it is so critical for me to emphasize every vote matters. And I ask for your vote on June 16th.
Thank you, Christina. God bless you. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
You too. What about these data centers? What do you think about?
Well, listen, it's one of those deals where you talked about technological advancement. There, the old expression, you can't put toothpaste back in the tube. We're going to have data centers, and we're going to have to deal with AI. But what I don't want to see happen is county decisions, state decisions, even local, municipal decisions, bringing in data centers without consulting the people. Because these things are big drains on electricity, big drains on the water supply. There are reports of a consistent and persistent low-grade noise in the background sometimes. I'm not an expert on this. I've read a lot of things saying that. It can ruin entire neighborhoods if it's not done, and people need to know about it before it happens.
Gotcha.
That's my opinion. And sometimes politicians, I say sometimes, this is going to be a shocker, guys. Sometimes politicians do what's good for their reelection campaigns and don't care what happens to the people they're supposedly representing. I know that's a shocker. Okay.
Wow.
But I don't think these politicians should be allowed to make these kinds of decisions without the approval of the people they're representing.
Yeah.
That's a shocking concept. But
yeah. Well, these data, whatever you call them, centers are popping up, are being built all over the country.
Yeah.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues. That's the name of this program on American Family Radio. Wesley, anything you wanted to share? You want to share your heart before Fred jumps in here with some news of the day here?
No, I was listening to Ed, and as he was doing that, I pulled up a Pew Research article on these data centers you're talking about. And currently, there's 87% of them are in urban areas, with the goal of 67% finally being in rural areas.
Right.
So to your point, that is a concern.
Well, there's space. There's space out there. And it's what Christina was talking about. Something's on that space now. Maybe it's just trees that they cut down, but I think what they probably want to do is not have to cut down a bunch of trees and, bulldoze. They want to use farmland. It's flat. It's,
and currently 38% of Americans live within 5 miles of at least one operational data center.
Oh.
I didn't know I did.
I know, right? Exactly.
I don't know where mine is.
Hey, you may not be part of the 38%.
Let me ask you this: is Love's Truck Stop considered the data center?
Oh,
because it's only like a mile.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Fred.
This is part of the 25% of my brain that says we need to move on.
I think we need to move on. You're 25%, my 25%.
Yours?
75% of the brain power here, Fred, thinks we need to move on to you. Go ahead. Next up, Fred Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center, also based in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, has been in the news over the last couple of weeks as the Justice Department now has issued indictments against that organization. The charge basically is this: they've been using donor money to put informants into hate groups, the so-called hate groups that they condemn. They have been sending informants in and supplying money to these hate groups. The allegation is they're supplying money to keep the hate going, which keeps the donor money coming into the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they've been accused of is lighting a fire, and they're the fire department.
Yeah,
that's so pretty good.
They light the building on fire, and then they say, "Well, see, we've got to have a fire department
because all these fires are popping up.
All these fires are yeah. That's basically what they've been accused of.
Did you come up with that?
And right off the top of my 25% head, I did.
All right, very quickly.
I can do it again if you want me to.
That was impressive. I like that.
SPLC, they are the focus of a House Judiciary Committee today, and the chairman of that committee is Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, in his opening remarks, talks a little bit about what the SPLC is being charged with. Cut 14.
Field Source 37, the guy at the Charlottesville rally, helped plan that rally, coordinate transportation there, was paid to attend. After the event, where a lady was killed, the Southern Poverty Law Center almost tripled their income. $51 million to $133 million after they were coordinating the hate that took place at that crazy rally. You run a scam, you become the standard, you don't get prosecuted, and you make a ton of money. They got $800 million assets, $700 million in an endowment. Such a deal.
I was good. They drew the short end of the
short straw.
They drew that. The SPLC did when they got Jim Jordan's committee. Because Jim Jordan is a daggum pit bull, huh?
He sure is.
And what he said right there, listen, and we've known this for years, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which started in the 60s maybe, and they were a civil rights group. And they had if you want to go back, you could say they had a cause that was legitimate back in that time. But what happened is they lost their reason for existence, and they wanted to stay in existence, so they morphed into this self-appointed hate group monitoring organization. So that they declared groups. They declared and it was always conservative groups like ours. They declared us hate groups, and thus, if the SPLC speaks, it is like the voice of God to the left and to the news media. Well, what's happened is it's been discovered. Jim Jordan just said it. They got an endowment. They've got so much money they don't know what to do with, which begs the question to me: if there's that much hate in America and you're not spending the money you raise to fight it, but rather you're raking in, you're building your portfolio. There must not be enough hate to fight.
Well, their motto is apathy is not an option, so we're going to gin up excitement.
that part you...
Yeah, I added
What were you going to say, Wesley, or you want to wait?
Manufacture... I'll wait.
Okay. All right, we're going to be back with 100% brain power.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
There is in the book of Romans a sentence which reads like this: For we know that in all things God works for good with those who love him, those whom he has called according to his purpose. Now, are those just some fancy-sounding words Paul is using? Is this just some good prose? Or are they true? Does God work for good in everything with those who love him? Does God use even the bad things that happen to those who love him when he's working for good? I feel we need a little background on Paul before we can get his statement in proper perspective. You see, he had been a Christian for 22 years. He was making preparations to go to Spain. That was his heart's desire. History would record that he got only as far as a Roman jail cell. Paul had suffered much prior to penning these words. 5 times he had been whipped with 39 lashes from a leather whip tipped with metal. He had been beaten with rods 3 times. He had been stoned once, left for dead. He had been in 3 shipwrecks. He had suffered from heavy toil and hardship and had spent many sleepless nights and who knows how long in jail. After suffering all of this and more, Paul wrote that God works for good in everything with those who love him. At least Paul was speaking with plenty of experience. And you can put this down. Paul believed what he wrote. But back to the original question. Does God work for good in everything with those who love him? Events in the life of Christ add validity to Paul's statement. For we are told that God took mankind's most evil and unjust act, the crucifixion, and worked good through it. After a study of the evidence available, one comes to the conclusion that Christ shared this belief with Paul, that God works for good in everything with those who love him. Does God work for good in everything? May I share with you a personal experience? Back when I started preaching, I served a little rural church. Since the church couldn't pay much, Linda taught school to help pay our bills. We gave very liberally to the little church, probably more than any other family. We thought nothing about it. We did it because we wanted to do it. When Linda had to give up her teaching because of pregnancy, we cut our expenses every way we could. I was in seminary then. And the bills seemed just to keep piling up. In order to help pay our hospital bill, I did something I had never done before or since. I asked the church to raise my salary $20 a month for 4 months. I explained that the money was needed to help meet our hospital expense. There was sufficient money in the church treasury to meet the request without affecting the church finances. But the church denied my request. I can recall that as I heard the decision that night, that it just didn't make sense. We had worked so hard for that little church, given so generously when we could. Now, when we needed just a little help, the church said no. You know, I can remember that I was unable to finish my sermon that night. For the first time in my life, I cried in a church. I could not hold back the tears. I was deeply hurt. But God worked good from that, for I learned how to be a little more loving and kind, a little more understanding and helpful. Because of that deep hurt, I know something of what the other fellow feels when he hurts. And, perhaps, I learned a little of the hurt in the heart of God when we say no to Him. Does God work for good in everything? I believe He does. I believe that even in our disappointments and heartbreaks, God is working for our good.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, we are announcing 2 tours coming up in 2027, March of 2027. We're going to Greece and we're going to Italy. The Greece tour we call the Footsteps of Paul, and you're going to follow the footsteps of St. Paul in the country of Greece. And then the Italian tour, the tour of Italy, Venice, Florence, Pisa, Rome. We're calling the Make Lasagna Great Again tour. And these are coming up in March of 2027. And if you want to read all about them, the itinerary, the cost, everything you need to know about these tours coming up in March of Greece and Italy, go to tours.afa.net. That's tours.afa.net. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of good fellowship, and see some of the most historic and iconic sites in the world.
For we know that if the earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, an eternal house in heaven, not built by human hands. 2 Corinthians 5:1.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim with Ed, Wesley, and Fred. Guys, I was just watching the news here on TV, and it says NASA to announce crew for the Artemis 3 mission. And so I'm going to step out of the room because I just need to know if my name's going to be one of the ones called, because I did send in
for you for a few minutes.
Well, I sent in my application.
Okay.
For the Artemis 3 mission, and so if I'm chosen, I'm going to be very excited.
Yeah, but
so excited to be on the air. If I'm not chosen, I'm going to be disappointed, and I really don't want to be on the radio show today. So you understand my mixed emotions here.
I do.
I'm just going to be honest. I have no idea what you're talking about. You really want? Would you, if you had a chance?
You don't keep up with the Artemis 3 mission?
Space station?
Yeah.
You would, if you had a chance to go to the space station, would you do it?
Yeah, I would. At 63. at 33, if I was Wesley's age, I wouldn't do it. But 33, I'm looking, 20, 30 years max left. You get a chance to go to the moon.
Well, not the moon. You'd just be in the space station.
Well,
But Tim, you love to travel.
imagine the frequent flyer miles you get from going on the Artemis 3 mission.
Artemis 3 is going to the moon.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? I was going to look it up because I sent my application in. I hadn't heard back from NASA, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm looking at here at the Artemis 3. It says the Artemis 3 mission will launch crew in the Orion spacecraft on top of the Space Launch System rocket to test rendezvous and docking capabilities.
No, that's what I do. That's the part I come in. The docking.
You could do the docking part.
That's what I told him. I have some experience in docking space stations, but
Okay.
it's not extensive.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't listening. I was reading.
Let's move on.
All right. So this.
Go ahead, Fred. Ed is obviously not interested in my career path.
All right. So I'm looking. This says Artemis 3 was originally planned as the first crewed lunar landing since Apollo 17.
Okay.
By 2023, however, NASA had indicated the mission could proceed without a landing due to heat shield concerns.
Mm-hmm.
I had heat shield concerns at the beach.
You did. You did. Here's it, and I think you handled it well.
And honestly, if I was going to go either to the space, into space, I think NASA would look at me and say, I don't think our rockets have enough thrust. You're going to have to drop another 20 before we can get you off the ground.
Fred, next story.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great video to see Ed floating around in the capsule.
Reaching for the floating pizza, pepperoni pizza. Gosh, and Wesley, you have anything to add to this?
I just feel like yesterday was my chance, and I took the opportunity to have a little fun.
Yeah.
I feel like today's my day to keep y'all in line.
Right. So let's get back to the hard news.
Yeah,
As
very important.
As Liam Neeson might say, good luck.
Good luck.
Hey, by the way, has Taken 17 come out yet? Because I'm waiting on it.
I'll look.
And I wonder what the storyline's going to be.
No, but they did a
kidnapped
whole
again?
Amazon series on it, like a new
On the making of that movie series?
No, they turned it into a multiple season of Taken.
Oh.
Without Liam Neeson in the main character.
Oh, a TV spinoff or something? Or
Somebody else is finding their lost, taken family?
Yeah, multiple times at multiple locations.
In the respect to Wesley, we do need to come back here. And this is kind of exciting because a couple weeks ago, NASA announced, remember the 3-phase plan to put a base on the moon?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if, Tim, you might make it, okay, in terms of being around.
My fingers are crossed, but I haven't
I'm
got
not sure
they got
I
my
will.
phone number.
But can you imagine if we lived, Wesley's absolutely going to make it, but us three older guys, can you imagine if we lived to see a base on the moon?
Yeah.
This is like a science fiction dream.
Is that what this announcement?
Yeah, they're announcing that the launch date, which is late 2027.
To start
well, that was, I think, supposed to be the next step after the last mission, is to really to prepare to put this village on the moon.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. All right, next story, Fred.
All right.
By the way, Elon Musk, he's not satisfied with the moon.
No, he wants Mars.
He wants to occupy. That's what his T-shirt says, Occupy Mars.
Oh, that's a good play off, Occupy Wall Street and all that kind of stuff. I like that.
This is not really breaking news because put up your hand if you've heard these words before. President Trump is expressing renewed optimism that the U.S. and Iran are close to a deal. I've heard this before. We have a good chance, he said, of signing a deal in 2 or 3 days. But he didn't provide any details on why there was reason for new optimism.
That's surprising.
There was I'm just going to say, there was a girl in high school,
right?
Darlene.
Who said she would go out with you?
I asked her out many times. She says, maybe this weekend. And that went on for 4 years.
Tell him I'm still in the shower. Yeah, but you've been in the shower for 6 hours. I don't care. Tell him I'm still in there. Yeah, President Trump has become a broken record on the Iran situation, and probably just needs to shuddy till something of substantial happens, because his words have proven to be without any power.
Words, no action.
No action, yeah.
Here's what's interesting. Through a translator, a member of the Iranian parliament kind of says, I don't know what he's talking about. Cut number 1.
See a serious will to reach a framework that can actually be implemented. And I think with regard to Iran's blocked assets, this is in fact a very clear and prominent example of that. As for uranium-enriched materials, enrichment itself, and nuclear issues, we are not currently negotiating on those matters.
So there's the difference of opinion as to where things are. You add to that the conflict that we have seen, the verbal back and forth between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. And we talked about this a bit yesterday, some bitter words coming from President Trump against Netanyahu, who ordered his army to defend itself against Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon. And also then on the weekend, Iran initiated another attack against Israel, and Israel responded. And basically, Prime Minister Netanyahu last night went on network television there in Israel, and he says missile attacks from Iran and Hezbollah are unacceptable, and Israel will defend itself. Cut number 2.
In the past 24 hours, Iran and Hezbollah tried to impose a new equation on us. This equation is intolerable and unacceptable to me. They thought they could fire from Lebanese and Iranian territory at Israel, and that we would not act. That did not happen, and that will not happen.
So there you have it. The Iranians are saying, we're not close to a deal on any of the points. And you see Prime Minister Netanyahu saying, if we get fired upon, we are going to respond. Both things that President Trump has been critical of.
I'm just going to, I don't want to sound like a broken record, because this story has sounded like a broken record. So we're basically revisiting it every 2 or 3 days. And we have since, when was it, February 28th or whatever, when this war.
Been that long?
I think it's been that long. Listen, I'm just going to go down these bullet points. The Iranian regime that's in charge, apparently in charge, is the fanatical branch of Shia Muslim, the 12 imam folks. They're not making a deal. They are not going to make a deal because this is their worldview. And they are going to fight this war through their proxies. Hezbollah is one of those. And so they are going to keep this thing instigated by firing via Hezbollah or Iran doing it. And they are going to try to become the main player in the Middle East, Middle Eastern nations that are more moderate. They don't want to go to war with Iran. So I'm not sure they're going to be an option. President Trump's only real way out of this mess, okay, once he did what he did with Israel to try to take out not only Iran's weapons program, nuclear weapons program, but also to degrade their military. Once that did not result in the collapse of the regime, his goose was cooked in terms of what he could get done. Cooked. President Trump, he cannot. If the regime had fallen, this would have been one of the greatest foreign policy, military attempts in recent 200 years of history. This would have been huge, but it didn't happen.
He stopped, too.
Huh?
Well, one of the reasons was, who knows what would have happened, but President Trump pulled back the military operation. Yeah. He stopped it. He stopped the military operation. Now, in his defense, he's probably saying, well, now we can negotiate because they see how powerful we are and what we can do, so therefore they're going to come to the table. I'm sorry, you finished, and then Wesley.
Okay, and so so now that is the reality on the ground, this the regime has stayed in power. It's doubled down. It has slaughtered its own citizens. It's not going anywhere. Now, I think what President Trump ought to do, rather than say, hey, I think we got a deal, he's going to be either forced into making a bad deal with these murderers, or he needs to just say, hey, we tried. We did the best we could. Our military did X, Y, or Z, but we were not able to overthrow the regime. Nobody else ever tried, even though other presidents said, we got to stop them. We did the best we could. We're going to pull out. And, if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, the whole world's going to have to deal with that reality. And if it's ever used on American soil or American interests, we'll nuke Tehran. And goodbye and have a good night. Huh. I think that's the only thing he can do at this point, because either way, it's going to be a political loss for the president in terms of the Democrats, who weren't going to do anything against Iran anyway. So rather than pretend like he's getting a good deal and everybody know that it's not a good deal, or he just says, hey, look, we tried and we took our best shot. No one else did anything. I'll tell you what he's going to say.
Go ahead, Wesley, because I have his own words about this. Go ahead.
I still want an answer for why the United States military and or President Trump and his team did not consider the fact that of the Strait of Hormuz potentially being the problem that it's caused. Because up until the strait was there, I felt like we were about to be pulling out and being done. But now I feel like the strait is as much of a problem or a concern as it is.
Why is it our job to keep it open?
No. Why did we not think that was going to
be a problem?
Right. Because how come we don't have any more control over that than we did? Because that seemingly there seems to be three problems here. You got the Iran potentially getting a nuclear weapon, so that's been in discussion. And all this gets kind of confusing too.
Yeah.
Our point and why we were there. At first, it was I thought it was just to set back their military 10 years because they support terrorism, and then we did that, and then it turned to, well, now we got to get the uranium.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we realized we can't do that. And then it's like, oh, yeah, well, we can't leave yet because we're negotiating for them to open up the Strait of Hormuz. So, there seems to be, like, things that we did not account for, which is why I'm, of course, where I'm at, but I believe that it would have been just as fine with me as a voter for Trump as a president. I'd have been just as happy after about 2 or 3 weeks of just bombing a terrorist country's military and setting them back 5 or 10 years, 15 years, and just pulling out and just monitor the potentials of a nuke, and also tell them if you don't open the strait, then we're gonna keep bombing your bridges and your facility.
Yeah, because that's what it's turned out anyway.
Yep.
As it turns out, we didn't, as far as we know, completely stop their nuclear. Maybe we set them back.
Set them back.
A certain amount of time. We degraded their military significantly, and that's it.
That's it.
And so why wait 3 months to pull out when we could have done it after 3 weeks?
Yep, absolutely.
So according to a story in the Jerusalem Post, which I'm sure is being reported back here in the States too, but this is the first article I pulled up, and we don't have the audio for this. And here's what President Trump said yesterday. Yes, Tuesday. Said on Tuesday. That's today.
Today.
Yeah. There's still Wednesday, right? After Tuesday?
There is.
Okay. I didn't know if we voted.
I hope.
Did we vote on that, or do you remember? I think that. Anyway, so here's what President Trump said. Quote, "You're really going to win this over the next year. I don't know. He's talking about himself, I guess, or us, the U.S. You're really going to win this over the next 2 weeks when we declare total victory. It'll be total victory. It will happen very soon, and oil prices will come tumbling down." Regarding America's demands in the talks, Trump added that Iran's negotiators are willing to give the U.S., quote, everything. Well, you're shaking your head, Ed. You don't believe President Trump?
I think President Trump is a very optimistic fellow, but that is not happening, what he said. Now, if there's something behind the scenes and it happens in a couple of weeks and it comes out just like President Trump said, I will come on here and say the guy's a genius. All right. I do not think the Trump administration understands the kind of people they're dealing with. They think they're people who operate like somebody who wants to build a high-rise. Okay, this is not the kind of person you're dealing with. President Trump is not going to get everything, and the Iranian regime knows it, and they are working to try to embarrass him.
Okay, here's what he said. Continuing on here with this Jerusalem Post quote. President Trump's going on record here. Quote, "We are in the final throes." He said this today. "We are in the final throes of what will be a very good deal that will not allow for nuclear weapons in any way, shape, or form," end of quote. So that's the standard he's set here. And he said
that would be a win.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a win.
But you got to have a way to verify.
Right. And that's going to be the problem.
But that goes in contrast to the one of the Ayatollahs or one of the leaders of Iran that we just heard a few minutes ago, who said that's not on the table.
Well, what happens? What happens? Like you said, on verifiability, or what if 2 months from now Iran says, we changed our mind?
All right, let me just say this. President Trump's credibility, his credibility. He's been given a lot of leeway by his supporters, I think, in this whole situation, and rightfully so. He's earned that, I think. But his credibility is on the line if, in fact, what he says doesn't come to pass in the next 2 weeks. If 3 weeks from now he's saying, yeah, we got a deal in the next 2 or 3 days, they're going to give up everything. If he's still saying that kind of stuff, which he's been saying, I know, but I'm just trying to give him. I'm just saying this is pretty clear what he's said now, and I think he needs because he's saying complete victory, total victory, and so we'll see what happens, but we don't see it right now what he's talking about unless he's going to redefine. But he just said, no, we will not that. This deal will not allow for nuclear weapons in any way, shape, or form. That's still the standard that he's holding out there. So
listen,
anyway.
I was on vacation, but I was kind of paying attention a little bit to what was going on. And this very public conflict between President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't know if we've got more on that, but that was not good. That was not a good look. And the fact of the matter is, I think now Iran is playing Israel against the U.S. or the U.S. against Israel because they're telling Trump, hey, we'll give you what you want, but we got to stop the attacks from Israel into Lebanon against Hezbollah. And the U.S. has no control, really, over what Israel does.
Well, no, Trump said he does.
Well,
Trump said, I call the shots for Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell Netanyahu what he can and can't do.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Go ahead, Wesley.
And that's the point that I made yesterday on the program, and I brought it back to this, and this is an uncomfortable statement for all of us, but that just tells you who's really in charge here, and it's not Trump and the United States, if that's what you're saying is true.
If what he's saying is true.
Is that that Iran's telling us to tell Israel what to do, and that way they'll negotiate with us.
What I'm saying is Iran's negotiators are talking to the U.S. and saying, we can work out a deal, but we want the attacks from Israel to stop. Probably
my point is they're setting the terms, but we should be setting the terms.
But Trump should say, no, Iran, you tell Hezbollah to quit firing on Israel.
Yeah, that's fine.
Trump doesn't need to be telling Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, quit defending yourself against Hezbollah because you're hurting our deal with Iran. Yeah. Trump needs to say, no, Iran, you tell Hezbollah to quit attacking Israel. That's what needs to take place. That's why, I don't know, but I think a lot.
After today, we're not talking about it until we get an answer.
I'm good with that, man.
All right, I don't know.
I don't know what else to say about this.
I know.
You know about we got to talk about stuff that happens. I understand. We got to at least mention it, but I don't know what else to say. Or if Iran,
your hands are out because you're exasperated.
I'm exasperated.
You are.
I am exasperated.
You're exasperated, and there's nothing else to say. That was body language you just had right there.
I paid $4.24 a gallon on my trip for gas.
$4.24 a gallon.
$4.24 because you get gas in the middle of a trip. You got to get what they offer.
Oh,
yeah.
No, but you could have just not gone to the beach.
Well,
that was a choice you made.
Yes.
Huh?
That is true.
Life's full of choices, and we have to deal with the consequences.
Thanks, Dad.
You could have gone to a motel in Tupelo.
Yeah, I'm going to tell my grandkids, Papa and Mimi aren't going.
We're going to rent a pool at the Days Inn, at a room at the Days Inn, guy. You can have the pool.
Papa's too cheap to pay an extra 60
We're going to
cents
order
a gallon.
pizza. We're going to watch TV in the hotel room. How about that, everybody?
We're going to watch Andy Griffith reruns. What do you think of that, kid? Oh, boy, who's with me?
Or John Wayne, black and white.
All right. We're out of time.
For this hour. We're coming back, Tim.
I keep waiting.
And you better be back with us.
I'm coming. Now, I don't want to talk about Iran anymore.
I still haven't heard from NASA. I'm still no phone call, no text on
that.
Nothing.
Text, we either see a screenshot or it didn't happen.
Yeah, okay.
It's in the mail, Tim.
No. You mean my application came back to me?
No, they're responding.
Oh, they're responding. Okay, we'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Their investment is only for Donald Trump. It's not for the Republican Party. And I think this is another thing that we as conservatives have failed to do during the entire arc of the Trump era is actually take the Trump voters and convert them into genuine conservatives.
Start your weekdays with insight from Jenna Ellis in the morning, 7 o'clock Central Time on American Family Radio.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump is once again claiming Iran could soon reach a peace deal with the U.S. over the next few days. Aisha Hosni reporting from the White House.
President Trump tries to shepherd these negotiations across the finish line, but there is this war of words, a war of messaging going on behind the scenes. Last night, the president indicated, though, he thinks he's going to know where these talks are going sometime this week.
We have ongoing negotiations in Iran and with Iran, and that hasn't stopped.
But it is not clear who the U.S. is negotiating with. This Iranian parliament member says they are not negotiating with the U.S.
ما اراده
We do not see a serious will to reach a framework that could actually be implemented. And I think with regard to Iran's blocked assets, this is in fact a very clear and prominent example of that. As for uranium, enriched materials, enrichment itself, and nuclear issues, we are not currently negotiating on those matters.
This is former Navy SEALs Commander Vice Admiral Robert Harward.
This is Iran today. There's only one group that gets the vote, and that's the IRGC at the end of the day. And that's why these negotiations are their standard procedures. Milk it out for as long as they can, try to survive through a Trump administration, and try to get much as they can without giving up anything. That's what just happened in Lebanon. The president got the Israelis to stop attacking their surrogates, one of their elements of power, and at the end of the day, they gave up nothing for it.
The House Judiciary Committee holding a hearing this morning to question the CEO of the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has been accused of giving money to hate groups. The Department of Justice last month announced an indictment against the Southern Poverty Law Center, alleging that the civil rights nonprofit defrauded donors by secretly paying informants associated with extremist organizations, including the KKK. Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan of Ohio talks about how the SPLC used the Charlottesville, Virginia incident to double its income.
Field Source 37, the guy at the Charlottesville rally, helped plan that rally, coordinate transportation there, was paid to attend after the event. Again, after the event where a lady was killed, the Southern Poverty Law Center almost tripled their income, $51 million to $133 million, after they were coordinating the hate that took place at that crazy rally. You run a scam, you become the standard, you don't get prosecuted, and you make a ton of money. They got $800 million assets, $700 million in an endowment. Such a deal.
A conservative activist and columnist thinks it is telling that Minnesota authorities have dropped all charges against a mob who invaded a Baptist church in January.
Robert Nye is a columnist for the Washington Times. His latest column is entitled, "What's a Little Mob Attack on a Church Service?" In it, he laments that this past week, the prosecutor in St. Paul, Minnesota, dropped all state charges against 39 people who participated in the January 18th mob invasion of City's Church, a Southern Baptist congregation there.
The fact that the Minnesota state officials won't bother to protect a church from people intent on destroying worship services shows how far left the state of Minnesota has gone and why the American people need to take more seriously this totalitarian threat that's rising in our own land. These people don't seem to care about the First Amendment. If you favor a mob disrupting a church over people worshiping in the church, then you've taken the wrong side.
Knight says, fortunately, there are still the feds.
On the bright side, the Justice Department still has 39 charges standing against these 39 defendants brought by a federal grand jury. So we'll see how that unfolds.
And Knight says if the victims were Muslim, there would have been a different outcome.
If the shoe was on the other foot and some kind of mob invaded a mosque and broke up the service and screamed at the imam, I have no doubt that this prosecutor, Elaine Cowell, would go after them with a holy vengeance.
I'm Chad Groening.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
AFA Action takes attacks on the family seriously. The enemies of the family constantly employ new tactics to try to sneak past our radar. They know if we stand together, their evil plans will fail. Your gift to AFA Action allows us to stay vigilant against their onslaught. And if you give this month, you'll receive access to the Cultural Institute video, When Your Faith is Illegal, by Frank Harbor on AFA Stream as our thanks. You can make your gift today at afaaction.net.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Issues is the name of this show. We got 24 and a half more minutes of just, excellent content coming your way.
News and analysis.
I was going to use dynamite.
but we're in war, and it's kind of a metaphor. I don't know. Was that appropriate, Ed?
Well, I didn't think of the appropriateness. I was just proud that I had one that matched.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got to hit the bullseye every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Empty your magazine.
So this show is about to explode.
In popularity.
Explode in greatness.
Or in other ways.
All right, Tim, Ed, and Wesley here, and Fred went to his room, and Steve Jordahl replaced him. Steve Paisley Jordahl. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
What do you got for us?
Hey, I've been watching this hearing, this Southern Poverty Law Center hearing in Congress.
Yeah.
I know you guys played a little bit from the opening statement, but I wanted to play just, I've been keeping one kind of ear open to what was going on. Chip Roy was the president of the Southern Poverty Law Centers there. His name is Brian Fair. And Chip Roy had a question for Brian Fair, which Brian Fair had a little hard time answering. Cut 15.
How many extremist Islamic groups do you have of the 1,500 or so organizations you have on your hate map?
Again, anyone can go to our website.
My office has been looking over it and can't really find one.
Again, it is the SPLC's.
You think SPLC could provide us a list of the Islamic-oriented groups that you have on your hate map?
Mr. Roy, we don't target any group because of its religion.
Really?
I want to be clear about that.
Really?
Yes, that's exactly right. We target no group because of its religion. We target groups because they express statements and engage in activities that demean and vilify.
So you brought up LGBTQ groups a second ago.
Roy.
So you brought up LGBT groups a minute ago. So you think there's a bunch of Islamic groups that are pro-LGBTQ? Is that the position of the SPLC?
That's
Chip Roy. Sad to see him go from Congress.
Yeah.
He ran, or I think so. Or is he staying in Congress? Because I know he ran for an office in the state of Texas. I've forgotten which one. Was it agricultural commissioner?
I don't know.
Anyway, he didn't make it in the primary. Chip Roy I'm talking about. But I don't know if that means he's resigning from Congress or staying in Congress. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not sure. He announced his candidacy for Texas Attorney General.
Attorney General, my bad.
And he lost to Senator Mays Middleton. I'm not sure what the Texas laws. Some states require you to not keep your seat.
Yeah.
If you're going to run for another office. I'm not sure what Texas.
All right. So
is
according to ChatGPT, take that for what it's worth. As of June 2026, no, Chip Roy is not expected to remain in Congress after his current term. He announced a run for Texas Attorney General rather than seeking re-election to the U.S. House.
But what about the point he made there?
Yeah. With the SPLC guy?
Yeah, you got the guys laughing, or the group laughing in the background after he said, okay, let's talk about that.
They don't put, the reason they don't put Muslim terrorist, the reason they don't critique Muslim groups like they do Christian or quote oriented groups is because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Yes.
Their predisposed narrative is that you've got to find, basically you got to hunt for Christian and white groups only. You can't be labeling groups that are otherwise in a hate group because they deserve to hate people because they've been persecuted. It's the, I'm serious.
It's partisan.
The
SPLC is a partisan group, and the only people, there may be a handful of exceptions, but I doubt it. The only people they're going to put on are people they are politically differentiated from. We all know that LGBT groups and Muslim groups are strange bedfellows because they ally politically, even though if you're a homosexual in a Muslim country, you get thrown off a building.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, they've got us labeled the American Family Association, by extension, the American Family Radio Network. They've had us labeled a hate group for, we have a lifelong membership and the hate group list for SPLC, and they're not taking us off. They're not taking us off. And the primary, if you go to look at the SPLC website, they've got us on there, and most of the information is very stale and old. It goes back 15, 20, 25 years, and they use quotes, a lot of them out of context. But fundamentally, American Family Association does believe that homosexuality is a sin according to the Bible.
But that doesn't mean we hate homosexuals any more than we. In other words,
but we have to explain ourselves on that.
Oh,
don't
yeah.
we? I mean, that's kind of part of the problem. The SPLC would say basically, we would say the Bible forbids the act of homosexuality. It is a sin. Doesn't mean, as you say, Ed, we hate anybody. We're all sinners,
right,
in one way or another. But we can't change what the Scripture says about a human sexual morality.
Right.
And so, but because of that, we've been labeled a hate group because we just cite biblical references to that. So there's nothing you could do about that. I don't think that they're going to. Now they're probably going to say, no, it isn't because of your views on homosexuality. It's because you have opposed human rights for
same-sex marriage.
LGBTQ people. We could split hairs on that, but you're right. They don't go after quote hate from people on the left.
They're political allies.
Yeah.
They give them a pass.
Let's move on. I'm tired of talking about the SPLC. Next story.
All right. A big, huge ruling came down in college football. There's a quarterback for Texas Tech. His name is Brendan Sorsby, who came out and admitted he had a huge gambling problem, and in fact that he had bet not only on other sports, but he bet on his own team when he was a quarterback at Indiana. 40 bets while he was a freshman quarterback with the Hoosiers in 2022.
Didn't he transfer to Cincinnati,
He transferred to Cincinnati, and then he transferred to Texas Tech, where he is the starting quarterback. Well, after he admitted that he had gambled, the NCAA suspended him. The Texas Tech Raiders suspended him. He sued, and his lawyer claimed that he had he would suffer irreparable damage. The attorney Jeffrey Kessler framed Sorsby's gambling history as a mental health and addiction issue and argued that the NCAA was obliged to consider his well-being and support him rather than punish him. The judge, retired Tarrant County Judge Ken Curry, ruled that the quarterback would suffer irreparable injury if he wasn't granted a temporary injunction and allowed to play this season for the Red Raiders. Now, the rest of the college football world is in a little bit of a tizzy, saying they're not going to want to play Texas Tech to protest this. But that's what's going on there.
All right, so rhetorical question.
Yes.
What's the consequence for betting against your own team?
Well, he didn't say he betted against his own team. I don't think. Did he say he bet? Did he bet against?
He bet on the games. It doesn't say whether he bet for or against.
Okay, that was just a matter.
He bet on
That's
Indiana
what I meant.
football.
What you just said. I get the point is if there's no consequence, I don't care. You can't feel bad for. Okay, I feel bad for him. There's still a consequence.
What's the young man's name?
His name
Sorsby.
is Brendan Sorsby.
Okay, first of all, on a human level, Sorsby, S-O-R?
S-O-R-S-B-Y.
I feel bad for him. I am glad he's getting help for what he has a self-admitted gambling addiction. Okay, and he's getting help for that. But that's hey, we've all been there in terms of we're all, as I said earlier, we're all sinners, so we understand that. However, let's separate that from the policy here that is at stake. People may want to, well, why are you bringing this up? Well, this is huge. Okay. You have a governing body such that it is over all of college athletics. I know this is a football quarterback situation at Texas Tech, but in professional sports and in amateur sports, gambling has always been a mortal sin. It kept Pete Rose, the greatest hitter in the history of Major League Baseball, by far in terms of number of hits, for over 4,000 in his career. He's not in the
MLB Hall of Fame.
MLB Hall of Fame because he was gambling and he lied about it. I think he bet on his team to win. He didn't throw a game. There was no evidence of that, but it was still forbidden. What I'm saying is here, the NCAA has a rule. You can't if you gamble, then I think if you gamble on your sport, maybe if you gamble out, but if you gamble on your sport, and in this case, this young man gambled on his team, then you're ineligible to play. Well, he went to court. This young man went to court, and a court in Texas said, no, he can play. We don't care if he gambled or not. Well, they didn't say we don't care if he gambled or not. The judge said...
That's what they said by their actions.
The judge said, no, he has to sit out 2 games, which, by the way, isn't any of the judge's business. The judges this is where judges get involved in their own personal opinion of what justice should be, instead of just saying, did he gamble? Yes or no? Should he be able to play? Yes or no? Not the judge coming in. I think he needs to sit out for a couple of cupcake games, and then be able to play. So what I'm saying is, if in fact, now the NCAA will probably appeal this, but if in fact you can be involved in gambling in college sports and there's no penalty, then wow. Then you got to get. There's going to be a lot of players out there who say, "Hey, I'll gamble, maybe even help throw a game, and what's the worst that can happen to me if I get caught? I get suspended a couple of games. It's worth it." Now, people may say, "Well, they wouldn't." People do. I mean, that's a temptation that would come along for a lot of these kids. If they think if I gamble, I'll never be able to play college sports again, then they're 99.9% of kids aren't going to get involved. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm talking about here?
So one of the things that's happened, the difference between when Bart Giamatti banned Pete Rose for life from baseball, and he was not allowed into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and now when this quarterback is just slapped on the wrist and allowed to play, is that the sports industry here in both Major League and college sports have made a relationship with sports gambling. Sports gambling places like FanDuel and Sports Kings, they have made inroads into sports, and it has become legal.
They run ads during sporting events.
I would say the colloquial is they're in bed together. And so you cannot ban your people from participating in an activity that you are actively advertising for.
Okay, now let me just say, it sounds to me like from what you read, Steve, with the judge's ruling, because I think there may be
one judge.
The judge's ruling. I think there may be even a deeper problem here. It sounds as if the judge ruled on the basis of like the Americans with Disabilities Act, saying that this young man has either a sickness or a disability, and that's why you can't forbid him from playing.
Yes.
And to me, all the stuff that you said, all this is terrible, okay, for sports and for college football. But if that's true, think about where this could go.
Yes.
That you cannot fire a teacher,
right,
who has a porn addiction,
yes,
because they have a disability and will suffer irreparable harm if you forbid him from working. I mean, we're talking about any addiction.
Well, it's empathizing with the person that caused the problem and not the problem that they caused.
Well, if you follow this logic of this judge, an alcoholic who kills somebody with a DUI should be let out because they have a problem. Because they're an alcoholic, so they can't help it. So therefore, if you have a DUI, should not be applicable to them because they have an excuse for it. That's basically what is going on here.
That's what this judge says. Now, I'm on the ESPN website, and this ruling, I certainly hope the NCAA appeals this. So I'm going to quote from this article on ESPN.
They have filed an appeal, by the way.
They have. Good. Yeah. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips told ESPN the ruling represents a, quote, horrendous pattern that is eroding the integrity of our process, end quote. A Big 12 athletic director told ESPN that they are disgusted and added, quote, we officially lost our soul, end quote, TCU coach Sonny Dykes told ESPN, quote, "How is anyone ever going to trust the outcome of a game again?" Close quote.
Well,
so this is a nuke going off in college football.
Okay, Texas Tech is letting him play.
That's a good point.
They recruited him. This is another problem, an aside to college sports. I'm just so tired of seeing players who played at Indiana one year, Cincinnati one year, Texas Tech one year. This is not the college sports world I grew up in, where kids came to school and you knew them from a freshman to a senior. Right. Those were the good old days. Now it's mercenaries, or they're just hired guns for a year. It's just anyway. That's a different story.
This has ramifications outside of the sport, even.
Right. Like I said, I feel bad for the young man in the sense that he had a problem that he's trying to get help with, but you can't change the world of college sports to save one kid's eligibility.
Right.
That's just all there is to it. And what these coaches are saying, what these ADs are saying, and I'm just wondering, the athletic director and the president at Texas Tech, the pressure's on them. If they're going to let him play, they're consenting to, in my opinion, that it's okay. If you want to say, well, I wonder what they would say about this situation.
They might use this ruling and say, we're trying to get Brendan Sorsby the help he needs.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're going to let him play.
That's fine, but that doesn't answer the policy question. Right. And then, again, we may say, well, this is only college football. No, this involves the whole amateur sports world, quite frankly.
Several colleges are considering blackballing or not playing Texas Tech. In fact, in a memo to staff, Georgia forbade its schools' teams in any sport from playing Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is in a conference. They're not. Schools are not going to be now. Schools that are not in their conference will. That's the Big 12. But Texas Tech football is in they've got games already assigned to them in their league. They'll have to play them. They can't. I guess unless they forfeited. I don't know. This is a mess. And if I were Brendan Sorsby, is that
Sorsby?
I would step away from the team. Okay. I think he could rehabilitate his career if there's any way possible by stepping away from the team and say, I'm going to get help and set out of college sports for a year.
I don't know what his NIL deal is, but he's stepping away from significant money as well.
Well, you give it.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm talking about the long view here. I'm not talking about the short view. The school, to me, Texas Tech, should tell him, you're not going to be able to play this year. We're sorry.
Based on the NCAA rules.
Yes, and I think the NCAA rules bans him for life. But but if you want, I think Americans are a forgiving people.
That's true.
And we like redemption stories. And if he would come forward, this young man and the school, and say, listen, we have considered everything. And he is going to he could play this year, but we've decided it's not in the best interest of him or the school. So we've deemed him ineligible, and he will be back on campus a year from today to restart his life. To me, that would be an approach would be acceptable to most people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I would hope that Texas Tech would take that, because it's an awful mature decision you're asking a 20-year-old college student
to make. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the president of the school.
He should be making that exact decision.
It's the president of the schools. He can step in here.
Or the AD.
Either one. Or the head football coach.
Sure.
So anyway, go ahead, Steve. Next story.
All right. Hey, did you know that there was an earthquake in the Gulf of America right off the western coast of Cuba?
Just escaped. Ed was down on the coast of the Gulf of America.
That's right.
It's a good thing you weren't in the water. Who knows?
So what happened yesterday?
So there was an earthquake, 6.1 earthquake, right off the west coast of Cuba. It was felt all the way as far as Florida, and of course it would have been felt also like in Cancun in the Mexican peninsula there as well. It is thought to be the largest earthquake in the Gulf since records were started kept in 1900. The next largest one was in 2006, a 5.9 earthquake in 2006, but this is the largest one since 1900.
All right, now this is going to sound weird.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm all about weird. So I'm standing, the folks who lent us their condominium.
Yeah.
17th floor, right on the beach. I'm on the balcony looking out at the beautiful ocean first thing in the morning. And I actually thought to myself, okay, this is before the earthquake. This is how disaster movies start. There's an earthquake, and then on the horizon you see this dark line, and it's a tsunami.
Yeah.
And I thought, what would we do? What do you do?
I would say on the 17th floor.
Yeah, you're probably not going to get hit.
you.
Well, I mean, that's a weird thing. I do tend to think weird things like that.
This
So
one
what
did
would
not
you
cause
do?
tsunamis.
Yeah.
The one in the Philippines did cause some minor tsunamis as far away as Japan. Nothing major, but
But this says that shaking was felt as far north as Tallahassee.
Yeah.
That's in the northern part of the state of Florida.
Yeah.
That's I just wonder if Floridians have ever felt an earthquake before, because it said they felt it, right?
Mm-hmm.
No damage was done, and
Well,
it wasn't a tsunami.
2006 was the last one you said, right?
2006, 5.9. But I don't know. It depends. How you feel an earthquake depends on the type of material of land that is surrounding the earthquake. This is why in the San Francisco earthquake during the World Series in 1989, they had the earthquake in Loma Prieta.
Remember that?
Loma Prieta is about 3 miles as the crow flies from my parents' house. My parents' house shook. I think it took their fireplace down, maybe, but the house was fine because they're standing on stable ground. Now, maybe 70 miles away in San Francisco. San Francisco is built largely on old refuse, garbage dump. Basically, it's landfill, and it is looser.
Not surprising.
It's looser material, and it shakes more, and that's why you saw the massive damage in San Francisco. Whereas
is that true about San Francisco, about the refuse?
A lot of it is. A lot of it's built on.
Is that why they have all the hills or something?
I don't think the
I'm
hills.
not trying to be funny here.
No, I think there
hills
is
of
part
trash.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much trash
I learned
is
this
there.
during the Loma Prieta earthquake.
Okay.
Because that's why the landfill issue is why so much of the damage was done in San Francisco as opposed to closer to the earthquake.
I felt an earthquake once, really.
I did too. Coast of Mesa, California.
Yeah. Well, you guys who lived out in California.
Yeah.
Been through many of them.
But we had one here when I was like 10.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, it was
Northeast
like
Mississippi?
I know. Yes. Well, it was the New Madrid Fault.
Yeah.
Which is a well-known. I think it was originated up in Missouri, but we felt it as far south as Northeast Mississippi. It was like on a Sunday afternoon. Lasted about 10 seconds or so, like that, 15 seconds.
Scale from 1 to 10.
Well, for a little redneck boy from the hills of Mississippi, hearing the earth shake is a 10. For the first time registers as a 10.
Okay.
Because what just happened?
Yeah.
Earthquake.
Earthquake. No, it was a mild and no damage was done, but you certainly the pictures on the walls were moving around. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, we are announcing 2 tours coming up in 2020.